I was carrying the presentation boards when his voice cut through the conference room like a knife. "You're done here, Sarah. Pack your things and get out." Everyone froze. 23 pairs of eyes locked onto me. The quarterly meeting with all department heads, clients from overseas, even the CEO from our parent company. And there I stood, 25 years old, holding visual aids for a pitch I'd worked on for 3 months straight. My boss, Richard Caldwell, stood at the head of the table with his arms crossed. His assistant, Monica, sat right beside him with her tablet, eyes glued to the screen like she wasn't witnessing my public execution. "Richard, I don't understand. What did you do?" He laughed, actually laughed. "You cost us the Henderson account. $500,000? Gone. Because you sent the wrong proposal." My hands started shaking. The board slipped slightly and I gripped them tighter. "I triple-checked that proposal. I sent exactly what you approved. Don't make excuses. This is why I can't trust millennials with real responsibility." Someone coughed. A chair squeaked, but nobody said a word in my defense. "Security will escort you out," Richard said, waving his hand like I was a piece of trash he was discarding. "Monica, make sure she doesn't touch any company devices on her way out." Monica finally looked up. For just a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Pity? Guilt? But she nodded and stood up. I walked out of that conference room with a security guard on each side of me, my face burning with humiliation. But what Richard didn't know was that his perfect assistant had been recording everything for the past 6 months. And she was about to become mine. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my tiny apartment, still in the same clothes from the office, staring at my laptop screen. My termination email had arrived at 6:47 p.m. Effective immediately due to gross negligence and breach of company standards. Gross negligence. The words made my stomach turn. I pulled up every email I'd ever sent about the Henderson account. Every approval. Every revision Richard had requested. I organized them into a folder, time-stamped, backed up to 3 different drives. At 11:38 p.m., my phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Sarah, it's Monica." Richard's assistant. "Don't hang up." My finger hovered over the red button. Why would she call me? She'd watched him destroy me and said nothing. "I have 10 minutes before he notices I'm gone," she continued quickly. "I'm in my car outside a gas station. I need to talk to you, in person, tomorrow morning. Why would I ever want to see you again?" There was a pause. Then her voice came back quieter. "Because I have the original Henderson proposal, the one you actually sent, and I have the one Richard replaced it with before it went to the client." My heart stopped. "He's been setting you up for months, Sarah. You weren't the first. I was supposed to be next." I sat up straight, my exhaustion vanishing in an instant. "There's a coffee shop on Marlborough Street, the one with the blue awning," Monica said. 7 a.m., I'll bring everything. But you need to move fast. He's already planning to blame you for 2 other accounts that are about to fall through." "Why are you doing this?" She let out a bitter laugh. "Because I'm 26 years old, and I've spent 3 years watching him destroy people like us while he takes credit for our work. I'm done being his puppet." The line went dead. I looked at the clock, 11:43 p.m. In 7 hours and 17 minutes, everything could change. I grabbed my laptop and started making a list of exactly what I needed from her. Richard Caldwell had humiliated me in front of everyone who mattered in my career. Now it was time to return the favor. Monica was already sitting in the corner booth when I arrived at 6:52 a.m. She looked different outside the office, tired, scared, human. Her usual perfect bun was replaced by a messy ponytail, and she clutched a coffee cup with both hands like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. A thick manila folder sat on the table between us. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said as I slid into the seat across from her. "I wasn't sure I would either." She pushed the folder toward me. "Everything's in here. Emails he deleted from the server, proposals he altered, voice recordings from his office. He never knew I kept my phone recording during meetings." I opened the folder. My hands trembled as I flipped through page after page of evidence. There it was, my original Henderson proposal, perfect and professional. And right next to it, the bastardized version Richard had sent, filled with wrong numbers and outdated projections. He changed it himself? I whispered. At 2 a.m, 3 days before the deadline. I saw the metadata. He logged in from his home computer, altered your file, and sent it from your email account. That bastard had my email password? Monica nodded. He has everyone's passwords. He tells it's for emergency management access, but he uses it to cover his mistakes and frame his employees. I felt rage boiling in my chest, hot and violent. Why? Why would he destroy his own company's deals just to fire me? Because you're good, Sarah. Really good. The CEO's been watching you. There was talk about promoting you to junior partner. Richard couldn't let that happen. He's been the golden boy for 15 years, and he saw you as a threat. I sat back, trying to process everything. Why are you helping me? You could lose everything. Monica's jaw tightened. I already lost everything. My integrity. My self-respect. I've watched him ruin 4 people in 3 years. Good people. People with families, with dreams. She looked me dead in the eye. Yesterday, he told me I'd be taking over your accounts. Then last night, he called me at 10 p.m. drunk, bragging about how easy it was to eliminate dead weight. He said I'd be next if I ever got too ambitious. The coffee shop was starting to fill with the morning rush, but our corner felt like its own private war room. So what do? I asked. Monica smiled for the first time, and it was terrifying. We don't just clear your name, Sarah. We burn his entire empire to the ground. By 9 a.m., we had a plan. Monica knew Richard's schedule better than he did. He has a meeting with the CEO and the board at 2 p.m. today, she said, pulling up her phone calendar. They're reviewing quarterly performance. He's planning to present his success with 3 major accounts. Accounts I worked on. Exactly. We spent the next 3 hours in my apartment, spreading everything across my coffee table like we were FBI agents building a case. Emails, recordings, altered documents. Bank statements showing bonuses Richard received for deals I'd closed. He got $40,000 for the Morrison account, Monica said, pointing to a statement. You did 90% of that work. My blood boiled. And I got a coffee mug that said team player. At 11:30, my phone rang. Unknown number again. Sarah Chen? A man's voice, professional and cold. Yes? This is David Park from Human Resources. We need you to come in today at 1 p.m. to sign your exit paperwork and return any company property. I looked at Monica. She was already shaking her head, mouthing the word trap. Actually, Mr. Park, I'll need to reschedule. I'm meeting with an employment attorney this afternoon. Silence on the other end. Then, that won't be necessary. This is a standard termination process. Standard? I was fired in front of 23 people without cause or prior warning. My attorney disagrees about what's standard. Miss Chen, I strongly advise. I'll have my attorney contact you. Goodbye. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but this time it wasn't from fear. Monica was grinning. You don't actually have an attorney yet, do you? Not yet, but I know someone who owes me a favor. My college roommate's brother, James, was a junior associate at a corporate law firm. I'd helped him pass his bar exam by quiz testing him for 3 months straight. I called him. He answered on the second ring. Sarah? Long time. What's up? How would you like to take down a corrupt executive and make a name for yourself? He paused. I'm listening. 20 minutes later, James was on his way to my apartment with his senior partner. Richard thought yesterday was my ending. He had no idea it was just the opening act. James arrived with his senior partner, Helen Crawford, at 12:45 p.m. Helen was 50-something, sharp-eyed, and wore a power suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She sat down at my kitchen table, opened her briefcase, and got straight to business. Talk, she said simply. I talked. Monica filled in the gaps. We showed her everything. Helen's expression never changed, but her pen moved faster and faster across her legal pad. When we finished, she looked up with the smallest hint of a smile. This is a gold mine. Wrongful termination, fraud, harassment, possibly embezzlement depending on how those bonuses were structured. She turned to Monica. You're willing to testify? Monica nodded. I already packed my desk. I'm done with that place either way. Good. You'll need protection, though. We'll file a whistleblower complaint simultaneously. Helen checked her watch. Richard's board meeting is at 2 p.m.? Yes, Monica confirmed. Perfect. James, draft an emergency cease and desist. Sarah, you're going to that meeting. My stomach dropped. What? I can't just walk into— Yes, you can. You were illegally terminated. Until the company formally processes your exit paperwork, which you haven't signed, you're technically still employed. And as an employee, you have the right to address concerns with the board. They'll throw me out. Helen's smile widened. Let them try. In front of the CEO and board members? While we're filing a lawsuit, they'll have to listen. And James and I will be right there with you. Monica leaned forward. Richard's presenting at 2:15. He's showing slides I made for him, taking credit for the Westfield deal, the Morrison account, and the Patterson merger. All your work. Then we'll let him present, Helen said coolly. Let him lie under oath to his own board. Then we'll bury him with the truth. At 1:47 p.m., we stood outside the office building I'd been escorted out of just 24 hours earlier. The same building where I'd been humiliated, destroyed, treated like garbage. Monica squeezed my hand. Ready? I thought about Richard's face yesterday. His cruel laugh. The way everyone just watched me suffer. I straightened my blazer and lifted my chin. Let's go end his career. We walked through the lobby doors, Helen and James flanking me like bodyguards, Monica right behind us with a box containing every piece of evidence we needed. The security guard from yesterday saw me coming. His hand moved toward his radio. She's with us, Helen said, flashing her bar association card. Legal counsel. We're expected at the board meeting. We weren't, but he didn't know that. The elevator ride to the 14th floor felt like ascending to battle. When those doors opened, Richard Caldwell was going to see me walk back into his world. And this time I wasn't leaving until justice was served. The conference room door was closed when we arrived. Through the glass panel, I could see Richard standing at the front, pointer in hand, mid-presentation. The CEO, Margaret Ross, sat at the head of the table. 8 board members lined both sides. Helen didn't knock. She opened the door and walked straight in. Margaret Ross? I'm Helen Crawford, attorney at law. I'm here representing Sarah Chen in a matter of urgent legal concern regarding this company. Every head in the room turned toward us. Richard's face went white, then red, then purple. What the hell is this? He sputtered. Security! This woman was terminated yesterday. She's trespassing! Margaret held up one hand, silencing him. Her eyes were ice-cold and calculating as she looked at me, then at Helen. Ms. Crawford, this is highly irregular. So is illegally terminating an employee to cover up fraud, Ms. Ross. I thought you'd want to hear about it before it becomes a federal investigation. The room went dead silent. Margaret's expression didn't change, but I saw her finger tap once on the table. A tell, she was interested. Richard, sit down, Margaret said quietly. But I'm in the middle of— Sit. Down. He sat, his jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscles jumping. Margaret gestured to the empty chairs. Ms. Crawford, you have 5 minutes. Make them count. Helen nodded to me. This was my moment. I stepped forward, my voice surprisingly steady despite my hammering heart. Yesterday, Richard Caldwell fired me in front of 23 people. He accused me of costing this company the Henderson account due to sending the wrong proposal. I pulled out the first document from Monica's folder. This is the proposal I sent. Professional, accurate, complete. I placed it on the table and slid it toward Margaret. And this is the proposal the Henderson Group actually received. Wrong figures, outdated data. Sent from my email account at 2:17 a.m. on a night I was provably at home asleep. Margaret picked up both documents, her eyes scanning them rapidly. Richard accessed my email using administrative passwords and sabotaged my own work to justify firing me, I continued. But I'm not the first. Over the past 3 years, he's done this to 4 other employees. This is insane, Richard exploded, standing up. She's a disgruntled ex-employee making up lies. Then explain the metadata, Monica said, speaking for the first time. Richard's head snapped toward her like a snake striking. Monica? What are you? Explain the login records showing you accessed Sarah's email from your home IP address. Explain the voice recordings of you admitting to me that you eliminated dead weight. Explain the $40,000 bonus you received for the Morrison account that Sarah built from scratch. His face went pale. Margaret stood up slowly, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Everyone except Richard, Ms. Chen, Ms. Crawford, and Monica. Out? Now. The board members filed out in silence, stealing glances at Richard as they left. The door clicked shut. Margaret sat back down, her fingers steepled under her chin. I'm listening. Helen opened her briefcase and began laying out documents like she was dealing cards. 6 months of email records, voice recordings, altered files with metadata showing timestamps and IP addresses, bank statements showing bonuses tied to accounts Mr. Caldwell didn't work on. Richard's breathing was getting faster. Margaret, I can explain all of this. She's clearly... I haven't asked you to speak yet. Margaret cut him off, her voice like steel. She picked up one of the recordings. Play this one. Monica pulled out her phone and hit play. Richard's voice filled the room, slurred and boastful. Dead weight, Monica. That's all these ambitious little brats are. You think Chen was special? I've gotten rid of 4 just like her. They get ideas above their station, and I remind them who runs this department. The recording continued. The CEO likes me. I bring in numbers. They don't ask how I get them, and I don't tell them I stand on the backs of disposable 20-somethings to do it. Margaret's jaw tightened. Turn it off, she said quietly. The silence that followed was deafening. Richard looked like a cornered animal. I was drunk. It was a joke. You can't take that seriously. A joke? I heard myself say, my voice shaking with rage. You destroyed my reputation. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You stole credit for months of my work. That's a joke to you? Margaret stood up and walked to the window, her back to all of us. Richard, how long have you been with this company? 15 years. You know that, Margaret. I've built this department from... How long have you been committing fraud? He went silent. Margaret turned around, and I'd never seen someone look so coldly furious. I gave you opportunity after opportunity. I trusted you with a department. With people's careers. She looked at me, then at Monica. And you've been running it like your personal kingdom, destroying anyone who threatened your ego. Margaret, please. You're terminated. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Our legal team will be in touch regarding restitution and potential criminal charges. Richard's face crumbled. You can't do this to me. Watch me. Margaret pressed a button on the conference phone. Security to conference room A now. As the door opened and 2 guards entered, Richard looked at me with pure hatred in his eyes. You'll regret this. I smiled for the first time in 2 days. No, Richard. You will! Richard was escorted out, shouting threats and excuses until his voice faded down the hallway. The door closed. Margaret turned to face us. Ms. Chen, Ms. Crawford, Monica, sit down, please. We sat. My heart was still racing, adrenaline flooding my system. Margaret poured herself water from the pitcher on the table, took a long drink, then looked directly at me. I owe you an apology, I blinked. I'm sorry? Richard Caldwell reported directly to me. I should have seen this. I should have questioned the turnover rate in his department. 4 employees in 3 years. That's a pattern I missed. She set down her glass. That's on me. Helen spoke up. Ms. Ross, my client is prepared to file suit for wrongful termination, emotional distress, and theft of intellectual property unless we can reach a settlement. Name your terms. I glanced at Helen, who nodded for me to speak. Full reinstatement, back pay, public correction of the false accusations, and a formal investigation into every employee Richard fired. Margaret didn't hesitate. Done. What else? Monica gets protection. Full whistleblower status. No retaliation. Agreed. She'll also receive a promotion and reporting structure outside of that department. Margaret looked at Monica. If you're willing to stay. Monica's eyes widened. Yes, thank you. Margaret turned back to me. Sarah, I've reviewed your file. Your actual file, not Richard's manipulated version. Your numbers are exceptional. The Morrison account alone brought in $3.2 million. The Westfield deal, another 2.8. Those were my accounts, I said, my voice cracking slightly. My work, my late nights, my strategy, I know. And you'll be compensated accordingly. Margaret pulled out her phone and typed something quickly. I'm making you the interim department head, effective immediately, salary of $140 plus bonuses. Your team reports to you and you report directly to me. My mouth fell open. You're 25 years old, which some people will say is too young. But you've just demonstrated more integrity and courage than executives twice your age. Margaret extended her hand across the table. Do we have a deal? I looked at her hand, then at Helen, who gave me the slightest nod. I reached out and shook it firmly. We have a deal. Helen smiled. My client accepts, pending formal documentation. We'll have contracts drawn up by end of business today. Margaret stood. Monica, I want a full report on Richard's files. Every deal, every account, every employee interaction. Leave nothing out. Yes, ma'am. As we walked toward the door, Margaret called out, Sarah? I turned back. Welcome back. And I'm sorry you had to fight this hard to be heard. Word spread through the office like wildfire. By 4 p.m., everyone knew Richard was gone and I was back. Not just back, but running the entire department. I walked through the hallways and people stared. Some looked away guilty. Others smiled nervously. A few actually apologized. Sarah, I should have said something yesterday, Marcus from accounting mumbled. That was wrong what he did. Yes, it was, I said simply and kept walking. My old desk had been cleared out, my things thrown into a cardboard box. But now I was being led to Richard's corner office, my office, by Margaret's executive assistant. The nameplate still read Richard Caldwell, Department Head. We'll have a new one made by tomorrow, the assistant said. I stepped inside. Floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the city, a desk that probably cost more than my car. Monica appeared in the doorway holding a bottle of champagne and 2 coffee mugs. They're bringing real glasses, but I couldn't wait, she said with a grin. We poured the champagne into the mugs. One of them was actually my old team player mug, and sat down in the leather chairs. I still can't believe this is real, I said. Believe it. You earned it. Monica raised her mug. To burning down empires. To building better ones, I countered. We clinked mugs and drank. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You destroyed my life. Hope you're proud of yourself. Richard. Monica saw my face change. Is it him? I showed her the text. She grabbed my phone, typed something, and hit send before I could stop her. What did you say? I said you destroyed your own life. I just made sure everyone else knew about it. She handed back my phone. Block him. He's yesterday's trash. I blocked the number. At 5:30, Margaret appeared at my door. Walk with me. We went to the 14th floor balcony, overlooking the city as the sun began to set. The board wants a full presentation next week, Margaret said. Your vision for the department. How you'll rebuild the culture Richard poisoned. Think you can handle it? I thought about yesterday, standing in that conference room, humiliated, broken, believing my career was over. I thought about 25-year-old me, who'd worked 80-hour weeks, who'd sacrificed relationships and sleep and sanity to prove herself. I thought about the 4 people before me who'd been destroyed and never got their justice. I can handle it, Margaret smiled. Good. Because the board wants to consider you for junior partner by year-end. My heart stopped. Richard was right about one thing, Margaret continued. You are a threat. To mediocrity. To corruption. To men who think young women can't lead. She looked me in the eye. Show them what you're made of. As the sun set over the city, I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about becoming everything Richard feared I would be. 3 months later, I stood in the same conference room where Richard had fired me. But this time, I was the one at the front of the room. Same 23 people. Same quarterly meeting. Different energy entirely. The department has closed 7 major accounts in 12 weeks. I said, advancing the slide. Revenue is up 42%. Employee satisfaction scores have jumped from 38% to 89%. Margaret nodded from her seat, a small smile on her face. More importantly, we've rebuilt trust. Every team member now has transparent performance metrics. No more stolen credit. No more fear-based management. I paused. We lead with integrity, not intimidation. After the presentation, people actually clapped. As everyone filed out, Marcus approached me. Sarah, I just want to say again, I'm sorry I didn't speak up that day. I know, but you're speaking up now. That's what matters. Monica waited by the door, holding a familiar manila folder. What's that? I asked. Final report on Richard's files. Turns out he'd been embezzling too. Small amounts, hidden in expense reports. The company's pressing charges. I took the folder, flipped through it, then handed it back. Let legal handle it? I'm done looking backward. Fair enough. She grinned. By the way, the Henderson Group called. They want to meet with you about renewing their contract. Apparently, they never understood why we sent them that garbage proposal. I laughed. Schedule it for next week. That evening, I sat in my office, really mine now, nameplate and all, and opened my laptop. An email from Richard sat in my spam folder. Subject line, "You'll fail." I hovered over delete, then stopped. Instead, I opened it. You're not ready for this, Sarah. You're too young, too inexperienced. You'll crash and burn, and everyone will see you for the fraud you are. You didn't earn this. You stole it. I read it twice, then hit reply. Richard, you taught me something valuable. Sometimes the people who doubt us the most are the ones most terrified of what will become. Thank you for the lesson. I couldn't have done this without you. I signed it. Sarah Chen, department head and junior partner nominee. Then I sent it and blocked him permanently. Monica knocked on my door. Dinner? We're celebrating. What are we celebrating? Tuesday. We're celebrating that we survived and you're thriving. I grabbed my coat and looked back at the office one last time. 6 months ago, I was a scared 25-year-old trying to prove myself. Now I was a department head, restructuring a broken system and being considered for partner. Richard tried to end my story in humiliation. Instead, he just gave me the plot twist I needed. As I walked out with Monica, I smiled at the security guards, the same ones who'd escorted me out. Have a good night, Ms. Chen, one of them said respectfully. You too. Outside, the city lights sparkled like possibilities. My story wasn't over. It was just beginning.